There we are. Okie dokie, let's kick it off, Adam. Welcome everyone to the Business of Property. I have today our special guest, and he's a very experienced builder, Adam Bahrami, from New South Wales. However, Adam has been in building for quite a few years. Adam, and how many years would that be? Oh, why can't I hear you? Are you muted, Adam?
Since since 99, so about 21 years.
Yeah, fantastic. And you are the owner of Owner Developer. And today, Adam, we've invited Adam to talk about the top 10 tips to choose a quality builder you can trust. And this is a topic that anyone that's developing, anyone that's building their own home, but particularly, we're in a property development group, that we want to be able to know what are the key things we want to be able to look out for. So thank you, Adam, for joining us and spending, the time to put together the presentation that you have for us. But Adam, tell us a little bit about yourself, a bit about the history of Owner Developer and Bahrami Group as well, and where you operate in Australia.
Certainly. Good evening, everyone. My name is Adam Bahrami from Owner Developer. I'm a licensed builder, developer, and a professional construction coach. I started operating as a builder since 1999, so it's about 21 years, and for quite some time we traded under Bahrami Group Proprietary Limited. Bahrami is my surname. And then about a year and a half ago, through a couple of good mentors, we decided to rebrand, and so that's where the Owner Developer and two of our other brands developed. At Owner Developer, we provide property development services such as development briefing, site acquisition, feasibility, site analysis, construction management and coaching, and joint venture sort of partnering. I'm also a licensee builder of a company called Renault Co Australia, which is a Sydney-based design and build company, specializing in boutique custom-built home renovation and extension. My daughter Ida started this company last year, and it all came out of asking for promotion, actually. She look after, she's architectural designer. She look after architectural design and project admin and management side of it. For many years, I started as a insurance builder specialist. So for many years, I've been the preferred builder by major insurance companies, where our expert report and the scope has been utilized for home warranty, builder liability, and general building insurance claims. So I've got a bit of a sort of an insurance building background.
That's excellent. And Ida is here today, and I think I've seen, a few of us have seen videos of her in the group, which is fantastic, because I believe Ida's only quite young. Ida's in her early 20s.
She's 21, yes.
And it's fantastic to see someone that's focused, obviously passionate about what she does. And you're not just sort of, you haven't just given her a promotion. You've given her a part of the business, which she has ownership of. So Ida, I know you're here. I want to say you've done extremely well, and I think, I'm sure Dad's very, very proud of you, following in his footsteps. Excellent. So
thank you.
I really like the topic here, and it's an opportune time, because I've got two projects that we're looking for a builder for, and I'm sure, and constantly we have posts in the group that people are looking for good builders. So let's talk about what we need to look for to be able to identify what a good builder is, and particularly that word about being able to trust that builder as well.
Yeah, absolutely. as I said, I've been building since '99, and that's about 21 years now. And for all those years, I've always had a fascination with the property industry, and it always stuck with me that why in such a humble money earning kind of a industry, the builders, developers, or real estate agents get bad names. After all, builders are a bunch of crooks, right? Well, not really. I guess let me.
Is that an admission or
there is a second slide here which I need to go to. I'll get there. Well, I guess according to the current affair and some dramatic programs on TV, we're all trying to con some poor old lady. Obviously, running a story on builders who are good on good terms with their clients. They do the right thing with their clients. They're not extorting on variation. It is not good enough for a high rating TV. But not every builder is doing the right thing, and this is bring me to my point that hiring a builder can certainly be a daunting and time-consuming experience. Who are they actually? Are they ripping me off? How can I be certain that this someone I can trust?
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, and absolutely.
Yeah.
The thing about is this fixed price, fixed price contract? But am I going to be hit with a whole lot of variations that should have been there from the beginning, but for some reason the builders just said no, it wasn't in the original quote.
Yeah, absolutely. You put much of your trust in someone who's quite literally hold your investment and dream in their hand. So it comes as no surprise that everything need to be considered in this process, and that you need to find the right one. Cheryl, not too long ago, I thought to myself, let me ask the public, let me run a survey on social media and ask everyone who actually is the ideal builder you can rely on.
Yeah, what was the outcome?
I have to say thank you to everyone, because the response was absolutely overwhelming. But I can't say I was surprised with what I was reading. The fact that it always comes down to trust, how to get hold of an honest builder in the first place, where they referred to by the trusted source, or did you pick them just out of a gum tree, or a selection was purely made based on price, I hate to say it, but honestly, or lack of it, is not restricted to building industry. But unfortunately, it really does get exposed that way. And as Mr. Buffett says, honestly is a very expensive gift. Don't expect it from cheap people. So thank you all for your time and input. Our team have developed an ebook based on your answers called Top 10 Tips to Choose a Quality Builder You Can Trust. And everyone here will get a copy of it as our gift. So Cheryl, let's get into it, shall we?
Excellent. Sounds good to me. Awesome. All in your hands.
Awesome. Here are the top 10 tips to choose a quality builder you can trust based on your answers. So the first tip I'm going to go through tonight is the reputation. I don't know about you, but I really do my research before even buying a new phone. I look at every possible thing before I spend a cent on it. I look at the battery life, how other people find it, what the storage size does it have, for instance. And I'm sure yourself and plenty of other people here do the same, yeah?
Oh, absolutely. Particularly for builders. I know, I mean, we built not long ago, probably about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And the first place we went was online forums.
Here you go. Yeah. Well, I can't emphasize enough. The exact same applies when looking for a builder. No one goes and put a bad testimonial on their website. No builders say, hey, look, this is what I built in the past, and it was an absolute rip-off, or or the customer wasn't happy. So we have to go beyond that facade of things, go that extra mile and look into their reputation, because frankly, the handful of testimonial that they give you could very well be a biased opinion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at trust, in my opinion, and when it's very similar apply when I look for builders in different region, or when I look for tradies, that I look for trustworthy sources, such as the architects, the surveyors that we deal with, other developers and landlords who build with them, and even real estate agents are a good source to go to. Word of mouth is the most genuine form of determining if the builder is reputable or not. I really have no issue letting any of my client to speak to a new client, to speak to an existing client, or even come and have a look at what we're building, and have a look, and deal with it in person. And we always welcome that. Any good builder, in my opinion, should also not have any issue, because obviously we believe that you as a homeowner or as a developer deserve that security. It's a big investment.
Yeah, and just on that, social media is so rampant in looking for feedback about any sort of business now. I know, just like I said, in our local community. So I live in the Northwest. And if anyone is looking to build, they often put in the local Facebook group, has anyone built with this person? And there'll be 20, 30 comments, so any builder, any reputable builder will want to be looking at how am I delivering that level of customer service to ensure that they've got...
We'll live in a future. There's so much information on your fingertip. So take advantage of it. Do a quick search on Google, on social media, and I can assure you, you find so much information, that it overwhelms you.
Yeah.
Also, fish out to see if there are member of professional associations such as Master Builders or HIA. Particularly look into building awards. They're a great measure to determine if the quality of a builder. Yeah. The second tip that I'm going to talk about is qualification, which is very important. Whether you're developing a block of unit or even a smaller renovation job, you need to choose a builder that is licensed and registered in your state and territory. I'm not going to sit here and say every builder is upfront and honest about their qualification. Otherwise, what was the point of creating that ebook? But you really need to question when a builder and a project manager either refuse don't make it clear if they're legally permitted to be involved with the construction work. In some cases, it could just be they forgot to renew their license, or it happens to but there are also chances that some builders have had their license revoked and they still continue working in the industry without it. And unfortunately, regulators are historically quite slow catching these dodgy operators. So it is up to myself, yourself, and anyone to be one step ahead and check these. Yeah.
And in terms of licensing, and I know you've got your license across, you know, three states. You've got New South Wales, Victoria, and Queensland. Like, how difficult, hard is it for builders to actually obtain the license itself? And is that sort of the easier part, but then insurance is probably the trickier thing?
Absolutely. Obtaining a license, you either come from a trade background and do a Cert 4, I think, and then with a building experience, you get a license, or you come from a college education, and then you go through an experience and get a license. Or recently, I'm not too much involved with it, and I don't know much about it, but recently there are organizations who recognize your experience and the skills, and you go through some, you know, you do some courses and you get a builder license, but I don't have enough knowledge about it.
Yeah. So the licensing itself, like I said, you know, it's experience and obviously going through the right sort of getting the qualifications for that. But you know, the next step then is the experience that you get, and also the insurance side of things that we need to consider.
Yeah, certainly. But again, depending in which state you live, there are different classes of builder's license. The class of builder license you have, it basically specifies what scope of work you can carry out. For instance, for a restricted class 1 builder cannot do, you know, an apartment building, or a bathroom renovation builder cannot do a class 1 builder. So you have to consider that when you're hiring a builder. You can find most of these information, all of these information is on a physical license that builder carry, alongside the name, license number, and expiry date. You can also search these online, and every state do have a website which you can actually pop onto Google and type in license check and find your state government website that show you all that details. I actually on this PowerPoint, also on a copy of an ebook, I listed pretty much every website in different states of Australia that you can do a license check. Hello.
Second, please.
Please go ahead, Adam. I apologize. Yeah. My little personal assistant's about to go to bed.
Absolutely. Gorgeous personal assistant.
Thank you.
So the next tip I'm going to talk about is experience and capability. Now, it must sound funny to say to yourself, does this builder ever even know what's going on? And I'm sorry to say, it becomes less funny when you hire an ethic conversion builder to manage the construction of a block of unit. It really doesn't matter how great they say they are. It's simply they just aren't set up for that job. So question the skills of a builder before engaging them, as we all have our own speciality. Some builders come from trade background, as I said before, such as carpentry and bricklaying. So their strength is more towards the trade that have worked most of their life. Others come from project management background, and they may be good for organizing, or they may have very good skills in organizing the site and project administration, for instance, but they have no idea about the sort of individual trades and nitty-gritty of it. The capabilities of a renovator to a home builder to a project builder volume builder, medium or high density builder, firad builder, commercial or industrial builder, and so on is so different that we would be here all night if I have to explain it. So when it comes to hiring a builder, make sure they are right for the job. I'm going to move on to the next tip, which is the financial capabilities. And Cheryl's is not here to. So imagine in this interview. So halfway through this interview live, I just run out of here. She is. She's back. Yeah. So Cheryl, you there? I can't hear you.
Sorry, I was muted.
That's much better.
I'm
okay,
back.
Perfect. So you're back. Let's say halfway through this live, I just ran out of time. I'm actually talking about financial capability. I don't know if you heard before.
Oh yes, yeah, I've been watching.
Yeah. So so let's say halfway through this live, I just ran out of time. Packed myself and left. You turn your head to the side and you're like, okay, what the bloody hell was that, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happened? So now imagine this isn't a live, but it's your development project. And we were here having a conversation, but we weren't here having a conversation, but I'm actually building your project. Yeah. I'll come to you and say, Cheryl, I'm out of money. So what do we do now?
So just on that, and the statistic is scaringly high. 1 in 5 builders go broke every year. That is one of the top concerns, and obviously it's one of the top ones that everyone has when they're building, particularly also with development sites, more so than anything else, because interest in interest keeps going. And you've got to pay, it can make or break, but basically it will break a project.
Yeah, it happens so much, it's just ridiculous. And as a developer, you just don't want to be in a position that shrug your shoulders and say, okay, so what do we do now? You don't want to put yourself in that situation.
Yeah, and so in that situation, I mean, how do builders go broke? Because for a lot of people, they're like, well, the bank's releasing funds at each stage. What's gone wrong?
Look, realistically, again, from something that I gathered in the industry, fortunate or unfortunate, is a lot of builders come from trade backgrounds, so they don't have the financial capability, I guess, unless there is someone within a business, working with them in terms of a cash flow and so on. The main problem I see, there is major progress payment involved with building a house or a development project. And unfortunately, a lot of the newbie builders, they just all of a sudden see 100, 200 grand deposited into their account, and they don't think, 3 months ahead that, okay, this 300 grand, this 200 grand just deposited, you need to service a, B, C to Z, so they go and buy a new use, or they go and buy a new boat, and all of a sudden it gets halfway through the project and they become short. So that's unfortunate. That's the reality of situation, unfortunately.
And how do you find out then? And I know you've got some steps here. How do you ensure that, as best as you can, that your builder has a strong balance sheet?
Well, when selecting a builder, run a proper due diligence. Yeah, go back to the step 1 that we just talked about. When talking to a previous client, talking to the clients that recommended, ask them about their financial position. Talk to the suppliers and account holders that they're dealing with. go back to the step 2 that we just talked about. Check online for licensing. These days, this information is so widely available. If someone, you know, had a dispute or had a court order against them, you can search them. You can search for suspensions. You know, you can search if someone liquidated before. You know, if I'll you know, if I'm hiring someone that got control or got control over my asset, my you know, most precious asset, I would actually run a credit check on them. You know, you want to get $20,000 loan to buy a car, they do a credit check on you. Why wouldn't you?
And I don't think a lot of people do think of that in terms of their builders. Like, you know, how do we empower consumers or developers to be able to go, hey, I should, you know, what should we be checking? I know you've got this here, but in terms of that, you know, is there a checklist where we go, let's do a credit check, let's ask for certain things, you know, how much can we ask from the builder, or their references with their suppliers and tradies, you know, how much can we actually be having those conversations with people that have worked with them?
In my opinion, it depends to the size. I mean, it depends to obviously where you source the builder. Is it someone you picked out of a Gumtree, out of Google search, or is it someone recommended by an architect or, you know, an engineer that you have worked, or real estate that you have worked before? But certainly depends to the size of a job. So if you're doing a, you know, a $5,000 renovation, you don't really need a huge security. You know, a decent progress payment system in place should manage the cash flow. But if you're doing a, you know, a couple of $1 million development, I would ask for all of that. Why wouldn't you? You know, as I said, like if you're getting a, you know, $5,000, $10,000 personal loan these days, they run a credit check on you. Why wouldn't you ask, you know, for a credit check when you're hiring someone for a couple of $1 million job? Yeah,
Absolutely.
look, protect yourself, and always agree. Like in terms of progress payment, and you know, put a proper progress payment and retention schedule in place, and don't pay the builder until that related, you know, payment schedule is due. The next tip I'm going to talk about is insurances. Your builder should carry valid insurances. And let me just... your builder should carry valid insurances. And there are 5 main ones that, I'll discuss in a brief details. Firstly is a public liability insurance. In short term, this covers the builders if anyone is injured as a result of working on site. I hate to say it, but if your builder doesn't carry this insurance, the one at fault could very well be you, because you own the property, or you're conducting a business as a developer. So the next person they go to is you. The second main insurance is in New South Wales called home building compensation cover, formerly known as home warranty insurance, and in many other states called home warranty insurance as well. This insurance protects homeowner as a last resort if the builder cannot complete the work or fix defect, because they either become insolvent or had their license suspended, or they just disappeared from the face of earth, unfortunately. Different states, sort of, there is different limits on it. We were talking before that the regulations sort of changing in New South Wales, and hopefully for the benefit of consumers. The next The next insurance, critical insurance for the builders that you want to check is the contract work insurance. This is for the protection as much as for the builder, is also is protection for the homeowner or a developer, which covers the loss or damage of material that is work done on site in case of you know, fire, you know, it got stolen or it got you know, damaged in a way. And next insurance policy I'm going to talk about is workers' compensation insurance. You want to make sure that all employees are covered by their employer or by the builder for workers' compensations. This insurance covers employees who are injured on the building site. So if a builder is not insured, you could be liable to pay for the cost of that claim. In some circumstances, on the Workers' Compensation Act, these people could be regarded as your employee. So, for instance, a sole trader builder who does not operate under a trade or a company, they can get workers' compensation. So you want to make sure that you at least get a minimum policy insurance for your project in this case.
So Adam, does that mean if you are the developer
Mm-hmm.
and you own a particular site, and for whatever reason your builder doesn't have workers' comp insurance, if a worker does get hurt on site, that responsibility then falls back on the developer?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. And if you're a homeowner, it comes to the home. If a builder doing a renovation at your home and they're a sole trader and they don't have a workers' comp insurance and something happened to them, insurance company can come to you that, you know, that they're not covered, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And lastly, another insurance that is involved with a building or development project is professional indemnity insurance, which is not so much related to builders, but covers certifiers, architects, engineers, like building consultant kind of services, and claim against professional services they provide. So their service can include advice, design, certification, or contract administration, for instance. And you want to make sure from the homeowner, from a developer point of view, you want to make sure that those professionals hired by your builders do carry the indemnity insurance. Obviously, you protect your home, you protect your car. Some people even protect their, you know, to details. They protect their jewelries by insuring them. So, you know, you want to make sure that you protect yourself and your investment by making sure your builder, you know, is properly insured and their insurance are valid. Should I carry on, Cheryl, or should we sort of pause on either of these subjects and see if anyone got questions?
No, please go ahead. If anyone does have questions, just feel free to pop it in the chat. But I know we're sort of halfway there, so it's good to, we've got sort of guests coming in throughout, so they'll be we're good to keep proceeding.
Certainly. The next tip that I would like to talk about is price and budget. So you want to make sure every cent counts, right? It could be like a building could be a couple of thousand, maybe hundreds of thousands. In some cases, I built $1 million house before. So people can spend that much on a project. So how do we make sure that you aren't being ripped off in this scenario? You know, how do we know that the price we are actually being charged is not a rip-off price? From my point of view, I think it's simple. You need to do your homework. As a developer or if you're building, this is an investment, so no shortcuts should be taken. You deserve to know every dollar that is being spent. So when you get that shiny tender package that entails all the work to be done, make sure you know what every point is. A good builder should provide you with one of those properly outlined kind of tender package. Mainly four kind of elements that is really important in a tender package that you wanna look for, and just briefly go through those points. So what in the world is actually going to be happen on my project? This is what your scope of work will be outlining. So the main one is, the first one is the scope of work that affects the price and budget. You want to be comparing apples with apples when you're getting prices from builders. So depending on the size of a job, your project, depending on the size of a job that you're doing, you may want to hire a quantity surveyor to put a uniform scope together that you know the builders can quote on. Then obviously you're comparing apples with apples. So now, in my opinion, a successful project results from constant clarity, and you need the black and white map of what is going to happen in your project, and that what the building plan is. So there are record of architectural design, engineering specification, council consent, or soil test, hydraulic, and so on. So building plan is another document that you want, that need to be considered, and it affects the price and the budget of a project. The next one are that so many things. There are so many things that happen in a project, and a builder we don't wake up in the morning and say, okay, today I'm going to frame up. No, they are building a schedule. It doesn't happen that way. So your builder must highlight the time frame and dates for significant part of a project, which allow you to see what the job entails, how long you're going to prepare yourself for the project to last, and obviously organizing your finance. Yeah, so building a schedule is an important element which affect the price and budget of a project. And the last one, which is quite important, is a finishes schedule, which an itemized list of material, fittings, and fixtures that you want in your project. You know, from a sort of a low to high-end project, there is a massive difference in price. So this is one of the main elements that affects the price and budget of a project. And a good builder should give you a trade package that outline all of these in details. If you're getting a one-page quotation from a builder saying that, look, I'm going to build, you know, a $400,000 house for you, that's not good enough. That's not the builder you want to go with. These details are essential for you to make a decision.
And just on that last bit, sorry, Adam, with the finishes schedule, so that's fixtures and fittings.
Yeah.
Is that something that should be expected that the builder provides you with that schedule, or is that something where the client should?
I've got Ida doing all the design and doing all the interiors, so we do provide a schedule of finishes. Some builder do a provisional sum or a prime cost items, which is, you know, a budget given. So look, you know, we provide you with such appliances for this budget price. But you know, if a builder are, you know, are up to date with their books, and they you know, they are updated with the market and what's available, and we usually provide with every you know, a building appraisal that we offer to our clients, we do include a preliminary design, and we do include a finishes schedule that suits the, or you know, suits the customer lifestyle or selections.
Excellent.
Yeah. Given that tender package is, you know, that tender package is really important document. So give that a good read. You will be surprised how much information it is giving you, and will give you an idea of how much time and money you're spending, so that you can avoid any additional cost or any, you know, unpredictable kind of cost. But don't forget that cheap doesn't necessarily means you know, good.
So a few questions there on that tender package. For any developer and looking to tender out their work to builders, you know, what's a good number of builders that they should be getting these tender packages from?
It depends how varied the price is. So if you're getting, I usually get price from three. In my case, I'm project managing a job, and we've got tradesmen involved. Yeah. So in a smaller scale, we always get three prices for individual trades. Those, and we've got an idea of what, for instance, a per square meter plasterboard on a ceiling, 10 mil plasterboard on a ceiling cost. And if these plasters come in all within 5% of each other, you can use that as a comparison. But if one come, you know, very low, and one, you know, is just a big different, then get more of them. It has to be done. Same goes with builders. I start with three. If the prices are, you know, within a small vicinity, a decision can be made. Just, you have to make sure that they coding on the same scope. They coding based on the same schedule of finishes. They coding based on the same, you know, time frame to start and finish. You know, obviously, the longer the project takes, the more it costs the developer. So you want to reduce that as much as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And realistically, for you, on average, you know, and understanding, you know, most of your product is residential. How long does it take you to put together a tender package?
Look, we've got, now we are lucky, or well, not so much lucky, but over years we developed a set documents that we don't really need to look far. So I know, you know, I know what's the document is already there. We just need to amend it to suit a particular project. Most reputable builders do have that, and it's not a huge effort to put a tender package together. But depending on the complexity of a project, some architectural projects which unusual sort of finishes involved, then you need to do a bit more research, and there's a lot, you know, a bit more involved. But in a standard house that we, you know, we built, for instance, in Brisbane, built for medium kind of range finishes, we usually put a tender package together within an hour.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And anything sort of, if you're going to do a development that's outside of your usual, obviously it will take longer.
So the more information, respect is both ways. So if you're expecting a builder to do an accurate price, you know, and competitive price on your project, the more information you provide, the more accurate you're going to get.
And so, what sort of information are you talking about, at least?
The actual, you know, construction architectural drawing, rather than a concept kind of architectural drawing. You know, the engineering details, the hydraulic details, the drainage details. If you've got a bill of quantity, most builders will sit down and do a takeoff of a project. So that saves time. If I mentioned before that in some projects it makes sense to get a scope done by a quantity surveyor, then the quantity is done and the scope is uniform, everyone pricing based on the same thing rather than guesstimating what goes into build.
Excellent. Okay.
To be straight, don't choose purely based on price, and especially if your builder is quite a bit lower or substantially higher than the rest. At the end of the day, in this industry, what you pay for is what you get, and that couldn't be further from the truth. And in my opinion, quality build equal quality result. I'm going to move on to the next tip, which is a building contract. We all know that contracts are legal agreements, and we know they are intended to protect the interest of both parties, right? For us, they should have clear guideline on a range of potentially contentious issue in a project, and that's really important that we look at it, and it's really important that the builder you're hiring recommends the right contract for you. A few items that need to be in the building contract are a detailed scope of work, a time frame for when the work is to be completed, the total contract price, for instance, all the cost involved in a project. Does the contract included the private certification or the engineering and so on, or not? A time frame when the payments are due, the payment schedule we discussed before, and what happens if there are delays, what happens if there are variations or disputes. So you want to pick a contract that is suitable for your project. You won't just be signing your name away on anything that you don't 100% know. It's to protect your interest, right? So it's worth getting legal advice before signing a contract with your builder, as it must comply with some relevant regulations in different states. I'm always being asked that, which contract is the best. Is a standard HIA or MBA contract, or is it a lump sum or a cost plus is the right contract to use? I'm not I'm not a lawyer, but I just outline the difference that need to be considered when you choosing any of these contracts. It really depends on the type of a project and level of trust you've got on a builder. Have you worked with them before? And what complexity the project involve. And a standard contract are essentially a kit form document that are produced by organizations such as Master Builders or HIA or Fair Trading here in New South Wales. And that's just name a few of them. And then there is more common form of building contract, which is the fixed or lump sum. And this one is really used more widely. And if you are on a tight budget and and you want to know the final cost up front, this is the contract to be used. It's possible that there are clauses for variation in this sort of contracts as well, where the cost of some items are not yet, you don't know the cost of an item on those variations. So, but usually with this fixed lump sum contracts, there is a cap on it. So, such as the the prime cost item, that you put a cap on, you know, a certain amount of allowance for a certain product. And lastly, there is a cost plus contract, which are more open-ended, with the builder putting their margin on top of a cost of a labor and material, with no real definitive limit of how much will be spent. I would only use this form of contract if you have leeway in your budget and you 100% trust your builder. Otherwise, don't use this contract.
I would say that would be mainly for, you know, renovations of some sort where there's so many different variables.
Absolutely.
Some
highly detailed architectural project is difficult to price as well. So, and usually a specialized builder do that sort of work anyway. So.
And what sort of margin can you typically expect a builder to put on top of their costs?
Depends the market. In this pandemic coronavirus market, until a month ago, you know, we have seen 10% and 8%, but market picked up again. So an average builder's margin is about 20%. I have seen people charging more, and I have seen people charging less, but 15 to 20% is reasonable for the amount of work they put in. Yeah. So consider which contract is chosen, and by who. Did you choose the contract, or the builder chosen the contract? And ask yourself, you know, the certain clause was struck out, where a special condition added. Did you get your contract checked by a specialist, a property lawyer at least, or a construction law specialist? I recommend.
Just on that point about which contract was chosen and by whom, is it not generally expected that the builder is the one that prepares the contract?
Yes, it is. And one of the main reasons this I think came up, because a lot of our developer friends have had that experience, that, you know, a right contract has been recommended or hasn't been recommended. But at the end of the day, we are builders, we are not lawyers. You know, it's important that the right contract used for a right job. I wouldn't use a standard fair trading contract for a $2 million development. You know, that may suit building a house, may suit a, you know, renovation, but it definitely doesn't suit a major development project. Yeah. Shall we move on?
Yeah, please move on.
Okay, the next tip I'm going to talk about is communication. So sometime I've had a conversation with a client, and I saw them nodding along and with not really idea of what I'm talking about. and then it clicks in my head that out of this conversation, maybe they only got 60% of it, and the rest of it was builder's jargon. So and it is a habit. It is just, you know, when you work in this industry, you know, we do abbreviate, you know, you know, 4B2s and you know, Sparkies and Chiffies and, you know, LVLs. And from a homeowner, from a developer point of view, you need to ask questions. You know, sometimes we come to a point of realization and start to communicate in this way, and that are easier to understand. But after all, not everyone are tradesmen understand these abbreviations. I'm sure there are people here in this live that had similar kind of experience. Cheryl, haven't you?
Absolutely. And you know, it's at no fault of the builder, because this is what you live and breathe. And when you're speaking with trades and they know exactly what you're talking about. But and here's what what you're looking to do is to empower also consumers to ask the questions. And even if you might think that they are stupid questions, because there are no stupid questions, because at the end of the day, it might be a valid question, because you're spending a lot of money.
Absolutely. Don't be afraid to ask question. If you didn't understand something, ask them to explain it. Don't know an item in your scope, go over it again. I didn't understand. What is LVL? What is what are you talking about? So a quality builder, in my opinion, will invest the time and sit with you and explain the items to terms that you understand, and will give you that extra mile to regularly update you regarding the forecast, progress, details of a project, and issues maybe concerning your project in future. Be sure you have complete clarity of what's going to happen and your building process, or what you're going to build.
Can I just share sort of from personal experience as well, Adam? And I said we built about two years ago, and I have to give big kudos to my husband, because we even though we built with a project builder, there were obviously, there's always variation, right? Before we started building, we say, well, no, we're not the type of people that do a lot of variations. And about 50 variations later, they're like, oh, okay, maybe there's more than that. But I think the one thing that he did, and this is, and he's very, very detailed, is he made sure that each time there was a change that was made, and they come back with the quote, that it matched with exactly what the builder understood that was happening, and that we understood that was happening, and the cost or whatever, the sizing, the color, everything else, was that we were all on the same page. Yeah. And that clear communication is so important. But again, it's about empowering the consumer to be able to go through that process as well, because at the end of the day, no one's perfect, and human errors do happen. That you are across what are the changes that you've made in your variation prior to having a fixed price or whichever, and that that if it's a specific sort of door that you've requested, but then you've changed it for something else, that you go back and check. Of course, and then I mean, I'm aware that not every consumer is going to have that level of patience or detail or knowledge. In that particular situation, what would you think would be the best way or a solution for whether it's a homeowner or developer, to just make sure that everything is all teed up, everyone's crossed their T's and dotted their I's from the consumer point? Like, is there someone else that's able to go through with them and say, hey, we made this variation, just want to be able to sit down with you and go, all right, this variation's done, this is what we've changed it to, and ticked it off. What's the best process, and what's the sort of process that you take your clients through?
Look, it's going to take you back to one of the earlier steps, that that you want to make sure that the scope that given, one of the main element of avoiding variation is to get it right in the first place. Sometimes it's unavoidable. So a door you wanted a certain way, and it was done differently, that's unexcusable. That should have been in the in the scope of work from the first place. But I can understand if there is a variation allowance for rock excavation, for instance, in as builder don't know what's underground, or or unforeseen stuff such as pipe on the pipes that didn't show in a dial before you dig report, and we have had instant that happened. I guess the process moving forward, and it does happen. It comes to a budget as well. So if your budget is tight and you can't afford to pay more for the door, why should you? That's a mistake was from the builder, and they have to cop it. But if it was a mistake from both sides and there is a compromise, then on that example is a easy one. That a replacement door, maybe $300-400 different. The installation of a door shouldn't make any difference. It just cost of a door itself, isn't it? So that I don't think it'd be a difficult decision. But if for instance you get a variation of tens of thousands of dollars for a subfloor for a tile, and you can't come to agreement, the other option is to get a third party involved, as a what they call them, a mediator, that they come and have a look at the site. Usually quantity surveyors do that. They come to a site and said, okay, you've done this much of a subfloor, this much material used, estimated this much labor will be utilized, and here is the cost, if you can't come to an agreement.
Yeah.
But a written record of everything's done is the best practice. We've got a site diary. Everyone that attends site, they sign in and they sign out, so we know what time our foreman went in, how many chippy we had on site, how many carpenter we had on site, what time the electrician came in and what time they left. So if it comes to a variation in a cost plus kind of basis, we've got a diary to go back to, and I usually ask the customer to keep a record as well. We also keep a camera on site, because a lot of the projects that I run, especially development projects, are remote. They're not all in Sydney, so we do get a motion detector camera on site, and as soon as someone enters, there's an alert on my phone that someone's at the front door, and
That's excellent.
What time they came in and what time they left.
Big Brother's watching.
I know. Technology is available. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. I mean, we're just for one of our sites, we're getting a quote for a camera as well to be put on site, because it's great for the developer, great for the builder, and great for anyone else, investors or all of that, to be aware and see the development come together as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okie dokie.
All right.
We're on the home run.
I know. So the next tip I'm going to talk about is the relationship. Your relationship with your builder should have direct communication. We just talked about direct communication. Acknowledgement of your needs, your goals, and complete clarity. It should be built on a base of mutual respect for one another. When I say, respect the builder's time, and they give you back. If you give them enough information that they can work with, they don't need to run around. They come back to you with the more accurate and more competitive kind of code. Respect each other's time, and that is something you can usually from the first phone call you can sense that, okay, how this builder feel. Are they thorough with their time? Or, usually I do sense that when I talk to a tradesman over the phone. Any builder can just go, yeah, all right. I've done those kind of project before, yeah, and the client was really happy, and they just ended there. But only a handful of builders will take the time to sit and ask questions, guide you through every options that are available to you, addressing all your concern, and again, respecting your time. You're putting time into it. So yeah, and also that gut feeling, don't underestimate it. My good old gut feeling has given me the right answer most of the time. You sort of do get a gut feeling, even from the very beginning, you start building relationship with the builder, that who they are and where they stand. Is the personality wise, building project is quite a major investment, not only from a financial point of view, but from time point of view, and from emotional point of view. So you want to make sure that, you know, you are sort of compatible from a personality side as well.
Excellent.
Moving on to the next tip. Who is the team? So by the end of your research, you've built a relationship that we just talked about with your builder. You know who they are. You've agreed on a code. You trust them and have a good feeling about the choice you made. Yeah. Now, I've been doing this for 21 years, and I can assure you that for 21 years, I've not been the only tradesman or only guy on site with the hammer and nails getting things done. Yeah. So it's obvious that builder you engage isn't the one doing the work. Some do. You do have the tool belt builder, and they do some of the work, but you know, they do have a team behind them. All builders work with professional, with suppliers, with retailers and contractors who support them, their excellence, I guess. And I don't think I'm speaking for only myself when I say that. They've been most likely work alongside each other for years, developing a strong and lasting relationship. Knowing that there is a harmony on site assures that the work will progress smoothly. Don't you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and ask your builder about their team, how long they have worked together, and why is it that particular architect or that particular individual they have included in their business. And at the end of the day, who takes responsibility for their output? Who will be the site supervisor and their roles and responsibility? Site supervisor is the most important on a job site. How many jobs this job supervisor is running? Are they having, 35, 40 jobs on their book at the time? Do they spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day on each job site? Or yeah, they've got 1 or 2 jobs. Again, depending the complexity, some project builders do run, 30, 40 projects at the time. You also want to make it a condition in your contract. It's not just a question that I ask, but if a particular site foreman that you like, there is I've got a JV partner in Brisbane, which we've been building together for 16 years. And he wants a particular site foreman that we've got, that is the condition we've got. That particular site foreman goes from one build to another, and it's just for that JV partner that we work with. So you may want to, consider, put that as part of your contract.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah. So we've got to the end of it, I guess.
We've come to the end of it. It's very, very comprehensive. And we've got a question here from Pia, who is asking, what would be a reasonable fee to pay to a builder for him to look at a detailed architectural design and give some feedback and an estimate of the build cost before lodging the DA? Yeah, so the project is 3 townhouses. The builder has asked 1,500. Is it okay for him to ask me pay it before he does the report, or should I pay after?
Look, that preliminary, again, I can't talk on behalf of other builders. We offer a preliminary estimate if the design is already done. If the client's already got a design and they've got a budget in mind, we do a preliminary estimate based on their budget, and we make recommendation that, okay, based on your budget, and this is the estimated construction cost, and this is a level of finishes you can put in there. Yeah. But if the if there is no design in place, yeah, you want to build an architectural house and there is no design in place, and you want to engage a custom sort of design and build a specialist builder to do that, and we do that as well, and we do charge a preliminary a consultation fee, and we do provide a preliminary design that a customer can have a look at and say, yeah, okay, and we progress from there. We charge a very minimal, we spend about 4 hours on that, and we charge for 4 hours, which is, roughly about $400. I can't talk on behalf of, I don't know the complexity of a project. Some projects do require a lot of time to invest to estimate a cost. But $1,500, in my opinion, is a bit overrated.
All right. Another question here with regards to finishing. What would you recommend the developer do on their own?
What, in terms of finishes?
Yes, that's interesting. Are you talking about the finishing schedule, Paradise, or are you talking about to lock-up stage and like painting, landscaping? Ooh.
Yeah, but I'm trying to find these messages.
Chat. So if you go to the right.
Okay. With regards to finishing, what would you recommend a developer to do on their own? Look, what the developer or to do on their own, probably the best place to start, decide what level of finish you want to build. Obviously, development that you do in Mossman, Sydney, very different to development that you do in Kellyville, is very different to the development you do in Liverpool. So decide on a level of finishes you want to apply to your development, and it all comes to the end product, what sort of customers buy your product. And once you decide on that, online is the best place to start. Put a selection board together for yourself. Pinterest is not a bad place to start. To start selecting the style of finishes you want to pick. Probably Ida is a lot better person to answer that question than me in terms of selecting finishes. But yeah, if you want, I can get Ida to reply to Paradise. Can you do that, Ida?
Cheryl, I'm here if you'd like me to respond.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So to answer that question, Paradise, I have most of my experience in doing residential finishes where it's more custom and tailored to them. But in a development situation, I would recommend doing as much research you can into the area. Look what current house trends are in, surrounding houses. What do people who buy there like the most? And then research around that. So what is easy to maintain, what colors they use, what contrasts nicely with the landscape of, your surrounding environment. And then that's really the research, like your basic research. And then you can look into specific finishes that are best suited. And it really also depends on your budget also.
Ida, you sound a lot older than your age. And that's excellent, Adam. That's great. That's a great response there. Yeah, but if Paradise does want to speak to you about that as well, please put your details in the chat also.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll leave my email there for them.
Sure. So Felicia's asking, if the builder hasn't done the proper or good work and avoids to fix a few things, can we report them and complain to certain organizations? If so, which one? So this comes to warranty and fair trading.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's why it's really important to make sure your license is, your builder is licensed in the state and territory they're building. If they are licensed builder, I've seen a lot of project managers they in the construction industry that they don't call them builders, they call them project managers, and they're not licensed to do so legally. So if they're licensed, you can make complaint to the relevant licensing authority. In New South Wales, be Fair Trading. In Queensland, be QVSA. And there is a process involved to make a complaint. If the builder don't respond to it, usually result in cancelling their license or putting a claim against their home warranty insurance. So yes.
Awesome. And unless anyone else has any other questions, can you please add the link to the ebook to the chat as well, please, Adam?
Certainly, I will try.
And I'll also will get it off you on Facebook Messenger as well, because then I can add it to the video description when we put it up on the group tomorrow.
Screen sharing has stopped. Share video is closed. Okay, so I should be just here. So if anyone, we documented this this presentation on an ebook. So if anyone want access to it, just trying to copy and
Excellent.
is that it? Okay.
Yes. Easy. Well done.
Yeah.
Excellent. So yeah, don't leave your day job, Adam.
I know.
That was great. I think that was very comprehensive.
Thank you.
And I think it's a good reference there for people who are looking to do particularly if they're doing their first few developments there, to go through and create a little bit of a checklist for yourself as to, all right, well, I'm going to be talking to 3 builders, going to have a similar sort of conversation there. What do I need to make sure that I'm doing? And Sean, last question here for you, Adam. Is there any bit of advice that you would add to the 10 things?
Look, bit of advice. Look, the builders are in my opinion, from not only being a builder, but I'm a developer as well. The builders are the most important piece of puzzle in your building project. And realistically, we take a good 50% of the risk of the project, So the aim should be to hire the best in a game based on your project. You want to hire, if you're building a house, obviously you want to, a custom design house, you want to find the best custom design house in the game. So at the end of the day, look for the best in the industry, do your research, do this step-by-step, 10-step. Again, these steps or these tips are obviously given to me by the community. I just put it together in a sort of a ebook format. But, go through these steps, make sure that, you find the best one suited for your project, and the right builder, at the end of the day, should become the, with the developer and a builder together, it should become a formidable kind of a team to achieve a more successful result.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate the time for putting that together. I know I've learnt a lot in this session as well. Thank you, anyone that's contributed to that. And if anyone wants to get in contact with you about their projects, whether it's like you said, you do quite a lot of work in Queensland. Obviously, you build in New South Wales and Victoria as well. feel free to reach out to Adam. What's the best email?
Best email, they can either email to adam@ownerdeveloper.com.au or just go through a general inquiry. If they email directly to myself, they get a quicker response. So yeah, adam@ownerdeveloper.com.au. I'm going to type it in a...
Pop that in the chat. Felicia's just said, I'm talking about the builder that was used by the developer. We bought off the plan property from the developer 3 years ago, which was settled in December 2019. Neither the developer nor builder want to take responsibility. Which organization can we report to in Victoria? What's the equivalent of fair trading in Victoria, Adam?
I'll tell you, I'll just have a look on my license and tell you. Just give me 1 second. Okay. There's a licensing board in Victoria as well. I can't remember the organization's name, unfortunately. I can't find it handy, Cheryl, but if you give me, it's quite simple to Google it. There's very similar to QBSA and fair trading in Victoria, which they obviously they know the builder's license details. Yeah, they can make a complaint to. Let me just do a quick search. Actually, it was in my presentation, so.
Yeah, I saw that.
I saw it, yeah. Just been. So the organization called Victorian Building Authority, and the website is www. I'll put it on a message box.
Yeah, go ahead there. And it's settled fairly recently, and I'm assuming also you've got final occupancy as well. Again, speak to have a chat to the VBA to start off with.
Yeah.
And if you really need to, hopefully you don't have to speak to a lawyer as well.
Yeah.
But try them to begin with as your first point of call, Felicia. Okie dokie, we better wrap that up, Adam. Thank you so much again. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you everyone for being so patient with me. I'm a builder. I'm not a presenter. So
no, I think you did wonderfully. There was I don't think there was really much sort of builder's jargon in there at all. It was very clear.
I'm glad.
Clear and concise, and definitely highlighted sort of the main things that we need to be looking out for. So appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Thanks for Ida for being here as well, and we'll see everyone soon. Keep safe, everyone from Melbourne. Keep safe. Wash your hands. Toe taps and elbow taps. Be safe, everyone.
Absolutely.
Good night.
Good night.
Take care. Bye bye.